few seconds until everyone gets situated, and then introduce our next speaker. Awesome, right on time. Okay, find your seats. I want to introduce next Jen Gussman. She's the Director of Customer Success Account Management at Microsoft, and her session is about develop the value narrative, internal enablement for strategic communication. Thanks, Jen.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm going to start by sharing a vulnerable moment. I was a little bit nervous about presenting after Miranda because she's such a great speaker, and I was like, gosh, am I going to go after her? But it actually worked out perfectly because everything she talked about leads right into my session. My aha moment from Miranda's session was there was a chart up, and one of the statements was like shifting from customer happiness to business outcomes. And I think that's a really critical point as we talk about value and business outcomes in my session. So I know you guys are excited to talk about value. You've probably heard this word a million times today already. It's one of those buzzwords that we use in customer success, like ROI and like metrics. But our leadership uses it, our customers expect it, and I think a lot of times we don't have the clarity or the framework to define actually what it means. And we're being asked to show the value. So today I hope your aha moments can be about how we can understand some of the very basic frameworks about what value is and how we can apply that to our accounts every single day and start measuring it, of course. A little bit about me. My name is Jen Gussman. I've been in customer success almost 20 years now, or in some form of customer success. I'm probably aging myself here, but I started at a time when customer success wasn't really a thing. Like, I feel like Salesforce was doing it, and that's the only time I'd ever heard of customer success. But I started out in large financial institutions, then moved to the small startup space, then moved to a very high, fast-paced startup world, and now I landed in big tech. These are some of my favorite customer success moments. And my brand in customer success leadership. Oh wait, how do I get my notes to the next page here? Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay, so a couple of things I want to talk about for my brand in customer success. I think it matters how we show up as leaders. So strategic clarity, framing value in actionable, multidimensional terms, human-centered leadership, balancing business outcomes with empathy and inclusion, and empowerment. So coaching others to innovate, gain visibility, and show up as leaders. And I share that with you today because I want you to know that identifying and measuring value is really hard. Like, I want you to know that I see that, I know how hard it is, I don't have ego around this, and I'm still learning every single day. And so as we talk through this, know that when I'm talking about something basic, it doesn't mean it's easy. All right, so first we're gonna talk about value breakdown, simple, basic ways to categorize value so our CSMs know exactly what to look for in their accounts and how they can have impactful conversations. And then we're gonna talk about navigating the rooms of the house. This framework helps match the right value categories to the right people that we deal with. So we're not just delivering impact, but we're delivering it to the right people in the right way. And then we're gonna talk about some very easy, well, maybe not easy, but basic ways, practical ways that our teams can start immediately applying this framework and elevating our customers' conversations. All right, so value's always been a core part of customer success. It's not more important today than it ever has been. But the word non-negotiable comes to mind because of all the economic pressures. We're seeing tighter budgets, increased scrutiny around, forcing CS teams to prove our impact. And it's more clear than ever. I mean, are you guys feeling this pressure? Like, raise your hand. I am feeling this pressure on my side. We've got, decision makers. I swear they're sitting in a room just looking at line items being like, why are we paying this much money for this? And so it's no longer enough to say we're driving value. We have to proactively show it. We have to quantify it, and we have to align it to our customers' business goals. All right, so we're gonna break down the value here. This seems like a basic one, external or internal versus external, but I want to walk through what matters to whom. Okay, so internal value is what our company cares about. It's efficiency, it's revenue growth, product adoption, strategic positioning. It's how our work supports our business goals. External value is what the customer experiences. So outcomes, impact, successes tied to their priorities. It's about solving problems and helping them win. And this can be challenging because oftentimes, I feel like somebody mentioned this earlier, our leadership teams build goals around what the company cares about. Like the KPIs that come down the pipeline are focused on how we help our company win. And so it's challenging for us because we have to update our goals, we have to adjust our goals so that we are thinking about the customer when we're working, as CSMs and as leaders. I always say, save a seat for the customer at your table. So when you're in, product calls or engineering calls, like pretend like the customer's sitting next to you, like leave an empty seat for them and make sure that you're advocating for them, that their voice is heard when you're talking about things that are, that matter internally. Strategic versus tactical. What are we actually doing? Again, this is straightforward, but a lot of times the traps that CSMs get stuck in is like the tactical trap, right? We're pulling reports, we're hosting meetings, and this is an area where we get stuck. We think we're killing it at CSM jobs, right? We're being strategic, our customers love us, but we're actually spending too much time being reactive and tactical. So in customer success, we operate across two layers, strategic efforts and tactical efforts. Strategic is like, long-term business value, and tactical efforts is, I would say, enabling daily success, like keeping the lights on. And strategic work is like customer success planning, health scoring models, like maturity models, value realization frameworks. These efforts are building trust, they're aligning with our customer goals, and positioning us as a strategic partner. Tactical work is like onboarding, QBR prep, support coordination, usage tracking. It's essential to keep those things running smoothly and ensuring that our customers are successful day to day. And why does this matter? Tactical execution supports our strategic outcomes. We can't stop doing the tactical work, right? We'd all love to be strategic all the time, but that's not practical. But if we only focus on the practical, we're going to be seen as reactive. Elevating our role means connecting everyday actions to that long-term impact. Value impact level. All right, so we got low, medium, and high impact. I want to be clear about this. Low impact work matters. Low doesn't equal, not relevant or not important, but it is oftentimes manual, time consuming. We're looking at like support coordination, renewal reminders, like just real tactical stuff. It keeps us busy. Sometimes like that's what we spend all of our time doing, but it's not moving the needle for the customer. Likely not moving the needle for the customer. Medium impact work is, onboarding, QBR prep, stuff that is helping maintain momentum, helping maintain momentum. That was a hard words to say, and surface insights, but it's not often tied to broader goals, and there's oftentimes no metrics associated to it. So when your leadership asks you, like, how do you know if you're doing a good job? You're like, well, the customer really likes me, like we had a great meeting, but you can't measure what you're doing. High impact work is strategic, success planning, executive engagement, that value realization stuff, but this is where we influence retention, growth, and advocacy. So the takeaway is, it's not realistic to ask our CSMs or, for ICs to be strategic every single minute of the day, but some part of your week has to be dedicated to high impact work. That's how we show real value with our customers and we elevate our company and ourselves. So when you're thinking about these levels, low impact is task-oriented, box-checking type of work. Medium is we are now embedded in their business and we're help moving things along, but high impact is transformational. All right, so we're gonna break down the different types of customer value so we can connect the dots better. Knowing what matters to your customers, and when I say customers, I'm talking about the people that you deal with. every single day is going to help you show impact better and land your impact. All right, so strategic value. This is the big picture stuff, okay? We're helping customers grow. We're helping them be competitive in their markets. We're working with them to hit long-term goals, and it's about aligning where they're headed. Operational value, think smoother processes, less manual work, better productivity. It's all the behind-the-scenes efficiency stuff that makes their work run better. Customer experience value. So I actually want to break this out into two buckets because some of us deal with customers that have end users and some of us don't. So when you think about customer experience, it could be the stakeholders that you deal with, like your admins, or it could be the end users. But the basic gist of it is, are they happy? Are they sticking around, continuing to come back? And it's about delivering a great experience for the customers, whether it's user or admin. Financial value. So this is going to have a dollar sign associated to it. We're saving them money. We're showing ROI. And if we can help customers do more with less, I feel like that's our catchphrase of the day, is doing more with less. That's a win for everybody. And then compliance and risk management, we're helping our customers stay out of trouble, okay? Whether it's, if they have a regulatory body that they're beholden to, or just avoiding risks that could derail their business, we're helping them stay safe. So these are some categories. It's not all inclusive. There's probably a lot more, but these are the ones that I think pop up the most that we have to be thoughtful about. All right, different people care about different things. So when we match the right kind of value, like the categories we were just talking about, to the right stakeholder, our message is going to stick. Who cares about what? All right, so I've noticed that CSMs oftentimes are trying to have strategic conversations with people that are focused on operations, right? And it goes nowhere because their goals don't line up. And that's why it's so important to understand what each stakeholder actually cares about so you can tailor your message and make it stick. So a couple I'm going to highlight. Strategic value. This is like when you're talking to C-levels, right, or decision maker. It's not about features. It's how we're helping them modernize the work that they're doing, innovate, hit long-term goals. A key takeaway here is they're talking about transformation, not transactions. Operational value for IT ops, infrastructure managers, it's about keeping things running smoothly in the back end, right? If we can help improve uptime or make things more efficient or effective for them, we're speaking their language. And then financial value, whether you're in front of procurement or the CFO, the conversation shifts to cost savings, ROI, and budget impact. They want to know how we can help them spend smarter and get more out of their investment. And why does it matter? Again, we got to match these roles up. The value that they care about, talking to the right person. If you're talking strategic goals to an operational person, raise your hand if you've been in that position. I have. And it's like, you're like, why don't you care about my strategic value? And they're like, because I care about getting this project done. And that's the thing that matters to me and the people that I report to. So let's talk about that. You're talking to the wrong person, you're trying to talk strategy, and you're getting stuck in, these are like some key things that will let you know that you're talking to the wrong person. You're trying to talk strategy, and you're getting stuck in like this loop of feature requests or bug fixes, or like going down the support ticket rabbit hole. We've all been there where somebody brings us up a support ticket, and then it's like you can't come back from that. Like you're like, okay, now we're in support ticket land, and that's where we're gonna stay for now. There's no urgency, there's no clear goals, decisions are never made, and it's probably because the person you're engaging with is not empowered to make decisions or act strategically. The right person's gonna, when trying to talk about strategy, that person's gonna be talking about impact, not functionality. Again, they care about those buzzwords like ROI and growth, and they usually have budget or decision-making power, or they're adjacent to a person that does, right? They're a champion or have a voice in that decision-making process. The other thing I'll say is titles can be misleading. I think we have a tendency to think if someone's a director, they're gonna be driving strategy, and that's not the case. So it's really critical that you map out the org. You should be working with your account team to make sure that you understand like who's doing what and where you need to branch out to have more touch points to have the kind of conversations that you care about, that they care about too. Okay, next slide. All right, so okay, next slide. All right, so we've all had, well, actually, I'm going to ask you guys, and this is a serious question. I really need you to raise your hands. Raise your hand if you've had a crappy QBR. Okay, I'm really glad you guys were all honest about that because we know it happens. Where you go into a meeting or any type of business review, and it's like you spend so much time preparing, and people are like on their phones the whole time, or they're not asking questions, and you come out of it and you're like, that could have been an email, right? Contrast that against having an amazing business review. Like you're coming out of it and you're buzzing and you can't wait to tell your manager because you're like, I can't wait to get these action items out because we have real goals that we're working on. We are aligned. Like the decision makers showed up and they were asking questions. And this is what it looks like when we nail the value conversation. Our solutions are getting tied to measurable goals that matter to the customer. So we're not just delivering a product, we're co-creating a success plan that we're building together, and it has shared goals and shared accountability. And then when that happens, like this is like perfect world scenario, we're going from being a vendor to like a partner or a business ally. All right, so steps that we can take today. We have to start by being curious and brave. We get really comfortable in our accounts and we think we know everything. Newsflash, you do not. If you've been in an account for 5 years and products coming to you being like, oh, okay, like, well, you know, could we do this with them? And you're like, no, they'll never do that, right? That's not the way to do it, right? We have to be bold. We have to continue asking questions. I've put new CSMs on accounts before, and they're actually more successful than their predecessor. Like, of course, they have, you know, this on-ramping period, but they get in there and they ask questions because they have to, because they're new and they don't have the answers, and sometimes they're able to get more impact that way. So a reminder, and I say this out of love to all of my CS brethren out there, it does not matter how great your relationship is or how much your customers love you. They are not buying your products because they like you. So like, remember that. And I say this with love, like, because I've been there too. All right, so asking a customer, are you getting value? Sounds easy. It sounds like this very simple question, but let's be real. It can feel awkward, right? It's a direct question, and sometimes, you know, we're scared of the answer. Like, what if they say no? What if they're not getting value? That sounds really scary. I want to highlight Paris Good in here. She was running a risk assessment meeting with her team where she was mandating that CSMs actually had to ask the customer, are you getting value? It was on the tracker and everything. So she held everybody to task on if they were asking that question to their customer. And again, it sounds like this easy thing, and she created this framework, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, yes, ask that easy question. And it was effective, but what made it work was the follow-up. So depending on how the customer responds, you can ask them another question. So you're like, you know, how are you getting value from this? And they answer something, and then you ask another question, and then you ask another question. And eventually you're uncovering gaps or areas that you can like fit in and solve problems or get value. And figure out what's not working. But a side note here is keep your tone warm and curious because we don't want to be the CSM in there that's like peppering our customers and asking questions, and it makes them feel like a little defensive. So keep that tone curious and warm. And our goal is to make the customer feel like the hero of the story, right? We want to champion them and make sure that they feel good in front of their leadership. Okay, for CS leaders, here's a couple simple things that we can do today. I think there was a woman in here earlier that asked about, you know, you've got like great relationship builders on your team, which is amazing, and we want that, but we have to be doing more than that. So as CS leaders, we can run role plays, like, and use real customer scenarios. It's a great way for folks to practice, you know, real life scenarios, but also it's a great way to crowdsource solutions too, because you've got a whole room of people that are pretending to be your customers, and if you're trying to solve a challenge, like maybe you'll solve it during that process. Hosting peer reviews, let CSMs share their work with their peers. Oftentimes they're more open to feedback coming from their peers because they're in the weeds with them than their leaders, and it makes everyone sharper. Create a value conversation checklist. So give your team a simple cheat sheet, right, that they can take to, it doesn't even have to be QBRs, it can be regular meetings. But those questions that I put up there before, you can give them a list of questions, how they can be bold and uncover gaps in their accounts. Review account plans together, and I think this also goes for QBRs, any type of business review. I think as leaders, we have our high performers and we kind of expect that they're going in there and crushing it. Those people need support too, and they need guidance on how to be innovative in their accounts. So remember to review those plans with them as well, so you can kind of interject and innovate with them. Set value-focused goals. Again, this is a challenging one because we are getting goals that come from the top down that are, I would say, typically not customer-focused, right? And so as leaders, we have to adjust those goals so that we're not, ticking off KPIs that don't matter to our customers, those internal goals, internal value. We have to kind of shift those goals a little bit to make sure that the customer's voice is present. Debrief after customer meetings. I mean, this is a simple one. Like go to your CSMs, QBRs, go to their meetings, pop in there, and then afterwards ping them right away and say, do you have a couple minutes? What do you think went well? What could you have done differently? And kind of guide them to be self-aware in their interactions, and it hopefully will bring some new ideas to the table. And then lastly, share wins and lessons learned. I think we all get so busy. It's hard to remember to do this stuff. But sharing wins is great for morale. It's great learning for best practices. And same things for lessons learned. All right, turning intention into impact. This is our call to action, okay? Stay curious. Challenge your CSMs, or if you're an IC, challenge yourself to ask one discovery question. I don't know if you guys have done the Challenger where you talk about TED questions, like tell me about a time when, or explain to me, these open-ended questions. Push your team to ask those. Don't get complacent in your accounts. Ensure you're talking to the right person about the thing that they care about. Again, that goes back to making sure that you're mapping the value category to the right persona. Evaluate your touch points. When was the last time your team did a meeting audit? Right? You have a QBR every quarter and customers are canceling or not showing up, or they're not really engaging. Do you need to have it quarterly? Or if it's a monthly meeting, think about how you can recreate that meeting so you're not getting complacent with it. Bring in industry insights. That's another thing. We're all working in these very niche environments, and we have the ability to pull information from other customers. White label it, bring it in, and have your customer do I put on here aha moments. The aha moments when a customer's sitting back in their chair looking at your slides and they're and you can tell they're learning something. Your goal should be that every time, well, maybe not every single time, but when you're having a strategic conversation, that your customers are having aha moments. Talk to users if you can. I know that not all of us have access to end users or even work with end users, but if you have access to end users, talk to the ones that aren't using the product and figure out why. Talk to the ones that are really good at the product and figure out what their best practices are and share them. Repropose ideas. I think this is a really important one. When we've been on accounts for a long time, we asked the customer that thing 2 years ago and they said no. Doesn't mean they're gonna say no today. Right? So repropose ideas so that you're asking, obviously you want to be thoughtful and professional about this and not ask them every single day, but repropose ideas when it's appropriate so that you're getting it in front of them again. Maybe they've changed their mind, or maybe something, they're moving just as fast as we are, so things could have changed. Bringing in cross-functional experts. So, bringing in somebody from the product organization doesn't always feel like the right puzzle piece. But if you bring in somebody from product or engineering, they're going to ask different questions. They're going to be able to come back to the company and advocate for you and your customers. Even if you don't tell them to do this, they're going to go back to their product meeting and be I met with XYZ customer the other day and they're struggling with this. How can we make this better? So you've challenged the customer and added more value in a meeting, and you're getting advocacy on the internal side to get stuff done. Connecting the dots on business goals to your value. I feel like I've said that a lot today, but it's really critical. And then the last thing is be bold. Shake things up. Don't get complacent in your accounts. Be bold and be curious. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? If you do, I think you're supposed to use Slido for that. And Lisa, I don't know how that gets through to me if people do it.
No, you were, and it was great. Like, we
Or
need
if
to,
you don't have Slido,
slides.
you can.
Yeah, please raise your hands.
Yeah, and I'll just repeat the question. No questions? All right. Oh, yes, Christian. Yeah.
How do you translate that into a message that hits everyone?
Yeah.
Be aligned across the board?
Okay. So the question is, how do you translate the customer value that you're going out and getting back to the internal teams that you deal with, like product and engineering? I would say it's the same message, right? What do they care about? What does the product team care about? What does engineering team care about? And make sure you're translating that value into the thing that they care about, right? If you had a product and you're like, yeah, we had, an amazing on-site, to talk about something they don't care about, it's not going to resonate, right? So I would say it's the same guidance, is make sure you're translating it to something that they care about, a category that they care about. Any other questions? Hi, Michelle.
Recently, even I can resonate with the difficulty of having a strategic conversation
Yeah.
with the wrong stakeholder, right? And sometimes we get gate kept, right?
Mhm.
So like not going to give me access to, as an individual contributor, I'm speaking on that behalf right now.
Yeah.
Not going to give me access to right people, or they're not going to attend the meeting, or they're going to skip the meeting. Do you have any, suggestions for how to navigate that, without skipping people or making them feel like we're up-laddering them?
Yeah. So the question is like, how do we get in touch with leaders that care about strategy when we're talking to operations people or people that are gatekeeping? Whew, this is a tough one.
Stump you, but
No, it's not. I mean, this is like a common problem. We all deal with this, right? We've got somebody that they've been running the program for 10 years and they're like, you're not talking to anybody else. Like, I own this program. I have found that you have to get in some other way. And so working with your account team, like even if it means like cold calling people on LinkedIn or cold reaching out on LinkedIn, have somebody else do that so that you're not risking your point of trust and advocacy with that customer. But start trying to get inroads other places. Go to conferences where their CEO is going to be speaking or their C-level person is speaking. Try to go to networking events. Like, figure out ways that you can connect with the right people, because just because that person doesn't care about this thing, somebody cares about strategy. It's a business. Like, somebody's got to care about it along the lines. I'm going to think on that. I'll come back to you once I have a chance. Yeah.
Create a maturity matrix, present it to them, and have the different personas that you're trying to target represented in the maturity matrix, and show how it will make that stakeholder look really awesome.
Yeah.
Really, if they can help you check these boxes off. Like, I've done that, and it works.
Yeah. And when you're able to do that, if you do have access to a senior level decision maker, but maybe you can't get them all in the room at the same time, sometimes you can carefully take those goals that you've learned at the higher level back to your operations folks and just say like, hey, I had the chance to meet with XYZ person and they shared that they're really focused on these challenges. Does that resonate with you? Like, is that the same goals that you're trying to work towards? And if not, would you share the difference, right? Let's talk about it.
Those are awesome. Yes. Also, name dropping really helps to get the stuff across for sure.
How many minutes do we have left?
I think we can go over a little bit. I don't know if you want to go in.
Does anybody else have ideas about that? Like, how do you get around a gatekeeper? Can you stand up? Thank you.
Executive sponsorship, right? If you have somebody in your organization that you hire than you and have them build an executive relationship. Also, if it's a public company, like
Yeah.
not necessarily
Yes. Oh yeah.
inside somebody telling you what the company's goals are. You can meet their annual reports, you can meet their quarterly, and then leverage that
Yeah.
Because you get somebody who is putting up a wall.
Yeah.
You need to find that other way in.
Yeah.
Whether that's somebody else in your organization making that relationship for you and then putting you into those conversations.
Yeah.
That's a very soft way to do it so that you're not, kind of like I'm going around you.
Not being abrasive.
Right?
Yeah.
Having somebody else do it. And then just getting that third party information that they're putting out there. I mean, that shows initiative, that you care about their business.
Yeah.
You understand what their goals are. And then find some nugget in there that helps you get to where you need to be.
Yeah, it's true. And sometimes we're just going to be dealing with people that like are curmudgeon-y, and we just have to figure out a way to get around them and be creative. But you bring up a great point. Like, we should all be doing AI research about our customers. I work in a public space in SLED, so pretty much everything is out there. But working at Microsoft, the biggest perk is that Copilot is built into everything. And so before I meet with any customer, I do research on them and have AI like serve me up talking points and questions to ask and make sure that I know what their goals are, which has been a huge game changer.
Okay, I know we have a few more questions, but we may have to move on to the next session.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
But Jen will be here, and she'll be around, I think. Otherwise, you can reach out to her on LinkedIn, make those connections.